Hey builders, it's Justin here from Buildable. This is the office hours for June 19th, 2025. So, last week I actually haven't gotten the office hours videos up on YouTube yet for the last 2 weeks because we've been absolutely swamped over here working on the product, moving some things along. But we're going to be getting the last 2 weeks up on YouTube here soon, and obviously the session will be put on there at the same time. A couple weeks ago, I was actually at the Home Builders Conference in Virginia, down in Hot Springs, Virginia, meeting with a bunch of the builders in the construction industry, learning how they use technology and how, Buildable as a tool could augment that technology and streamline their operations, for the construction and kind of trades industry. So that was really fun. And I actually recorded a session, again, that's not up yet, but I'll be putting it up here in the next 24 hours. Talking a little bit about some of the features that are upcoming and just some background on the product. I didn't actually do a demo 2 weeks ago, but it was just kind of talking high level over some of the upcoming things with the product. And then last week, Marguerite, our kind of CMO, she did a session and she did a little bit of demos on building an application. So those office hours will be up on our YouTube here shortly. Again, we've just been kind of swamped here and really focusing on the development of the product. Today, we're going to do a little bit different of an office hours where I'm not going to go in and do a demo build. I wanted to bring Matthew Williams from our team on. He's lead on the front end of Buildable. So we've talked about this a little bit in the past. The front end is what you see when you're using a product. When you open up an app on your phone, the forms that you're seeing, the views that you see, that's the front end. And then we have, a lead developer and team on the back end that works on, kind of all the how everything's connected, the wires behind it, and what happens when you click a button, within the product that sends a signal, some code to the back end to make those functions actually then occur, what that button should be doing. So today wanted to do kind of a little bit different of one and just kind of bring Matthew on board here to talk a little bit about some of the items that they've been working on recently, just to kind of lay the groundwork a little bit. We've been holding off on releasing some new features because we really wanted to focus on, one, the sign up and sign in process for Buildable, and two, any bugs that were kind of like hanging out there. We wanted to knock those out and get the product fully bulletproof before we start adding on some other features. We've been working on AI and the API and some other features, but again, we're holding off releasing those until we knock out some of these gremlins in the system, as we would call it. So they should be, I could say in the next, not put pressure on Matthew and team, but in the next 30 days, I really think a lot of the some of the bugs that we've been seeing are going to be history. So you're really going to see an acceleration of the product over the next 60 to 90 days based on, the revamp of the team and kind of the reorg that we did a little bit over here. So Matthew, kind of kick it off to you for a second. I know one thing that you've really been working on recently is the sign up and sign in process. So you want to go ahead and maybe share your screen there a little bit and kind of, throw out, along the way when you're driving there, maybe throw out some of the reasons and some of the things that you guys have been looking into and streamlining to kind of make this process a little bit better.
Yeah. Sorry, give me 1 second.
You're good.
For access to share my screen.
Allow your camera.
It's asking me to quit and reopen.
You go ahead and drop and do that. And what I'll do is I'll share my screen while you're doing that. And I'll talk over the current sign-in process and show some of those screens. That way, when I flip it over to you, they'll see the updated. So you can go ahead and drop out and allow your camera and come back in. And okay. I'll do that in the meantime. Okay?
Be right back.
Okay, sounds good. We actually revamped, got Matthew a brand new Mac last week. That was a bit more powerful to be able to run the project because Buildable is becoming a sort of a beast, and his previous computer was having a little trouble running it. So he's actually new to Mac. We forced everybody to go to Mac, so we didn't have a difference between Windows and Mac on our team. So let me go ahead and share my screen real quick. I mean, a lot of the builders out there that have been using Buildable for a bit will know what I'm looking at here. But let me go ahead and give Matthew the power back. You got the power? Okay. So the current login screen, and I'm going to flip it over to Matthew here in a second, but this is, for me, it's you come to this page. If you have the direct URL for your account, you would come in and actually sign in like that. Oh, if I actually take my password correctly. And that would bring you into the product. Get over to Matthew now so that Matthew can kind of show the current process as opposed to the new process, because the new process is really going to streamline and fix a lot of the issues that we're having with some of the sign-in stuff right now. So Matthew, do you want to go ahead and kind of share your screen?
Yeah. You want me to share like a split screen like this? Or you want me to just close the current?
It's up to you. Whatever you think's best to kind of,
Okay. Hopefully I don't run into the same issue, but I could run through the current as well, kind of tandem. But I guess the first thing I wanted to show is like the sign up process, and then log in with the newly created account. So sign up currently looks like this piece right here on the right side. It's pretty much identical in terms of the process, just the look is a bit different. So let's do terms. You can also see things like the feedback, right? So when I click that button to submit, see a little loading spinner. Small stuff like that's changed as well. So I'll get the code for the first one, code for the second. Put that in. All right, and then creating your workspace. So again, similar process, very consistent look on the left side. Go ahead and do, not sure what the limitations are for this in the live version. We've changed that a bit too. I'll just call this one Justin's new workspace.
That's
Not
going to be
seem
the
to like
special
that
character.
one.
Special character.
Yeah, I've been talking with Rob and we're running into an issue with trailing junk, which is like a Postgres error that we saw occasionally with numeric or integer values leading with column values. So it sometimes runs into an issue with that. But we're actually working on fixing the entire like special character stuff. I'll try.
I mean, the one thing that I will say right here that I love when we talked about this the other day was the the new UI. I mean, the UI looks so much cleaner on the new process.
Yeah, the UI itself, like across the board, is just very consistent now. It's kind of unfortunate that I'm running into this issue consecutively because it's a random issue.
Yeah,
Okay.
and just for everybody's context, where Matthew's showing it on the left-hand side of the new UI, that's just that it's not implemented in the product where he's been working on it. Hopefully, in the very near future, we'll be implementing this new sign-up process on it, but it's not going to be 100% bug-free now because of it's still in development. But again, like for me, the UI looks great. It very, like Matthew said, it's very consistent with what the buildable product looks like now. So the right hand side that on his screen is our current view, and it's not consistent with what the product is. So it's really streamlined. It looks more new technology I would say. So,
Yeah, here we go. Got these both at the same spot now. So complete registration on the right-hand side, it does look a little different at this point. You'll just be setting your password. So I'll do that.
and again, the right-hand side is the current process.
Yep. Left-hand side. At this point, like Justin said, this is all local, but you can now input your first and last name as well as the password that you'll be using. And this gets set while you're signing up. That way, you know, currently a modal will pop up as soon as I finish signing up here with your first and last name to put in there. But on the left-hand side, we're going to actually update the user upon sign up with the first and last name. So it kind of omits this step here. I'll click finish. So that is the sign up workflow as far as the local new development goes. Now the sign in workflow will look a little different as well, but same process. So 06 synctivate.com. Just use my real account here. Go with the current, new. Go get my codes. Running into the same issues you had, Justin.
Wonder if that code's the one for the other one. Since we're running it in tandem right now for the sign up process.
Yeah, let's see. One of them got sent to my other instead of the focused. Yep, there we go. Click here. Show your workspaces over here. Same thing, show your workspaces. Click here, and then the sign in. One minor difference here is obviously the email kind of carries over from the first step, so you don't have to necessarily input that again. But if you just directly navigate here, you will have to put your email in. Then sign in there. Sign in there. So yep, that is the sign in, sign up workflows. I guess the last thing would be just like the reset password workflow if we wanted to go through that as well.
Sure.
We'll show that. A lot of codes here. Get these to the same spot. Okay, forgot your password. So same thing here, email carried over. I already put it in, so it just saves an extra step there. Go ahead and start it on the current version. Click continue, continue. Same feedback. Just let you know that the email got sent to you, waiting for you to reset your password. I believe this is for the live version. Actually, it might be this one. Take the token from here. Robert is still working on setting up the change in the URL from the email.
Definitely like the, cutting out the steps in the process of, making someone type in their email multiple times. I can't tell you how annoying that is to me to just continually type these things in. And I mean, it sounds minor, but that can be 10, 15, 20 seconds, and across the customer base over the course of a year, that's going to save hours of time. Just
Right.
those seconds of time savings with this. I love it.
It's minor stuff like that, and also, with the current workflow, there's not a lot of like loading indications or normal accessibility options like pressing enter to submit a form. So it's small stuff like that, and also just like the overall design, making it look and feel a bit more like a modern web app.
And even
So
the
go ahead.
confirmation, like
Yeah.
on the old process of resetting your password, there's no confirm your password. It's just you type in a password
Right.
one time, hit submit, and you got it. And this has it. You confirm it to make sure you know what you typed in the first box.
Yeah, exactly. So again, like the workflows themselves are identical. No changes there. It's just a lot of small tweaks in terms of how it looks, how it feels, kind of quality of life stuff like the email carrying over. And yeah.
The user's first name and last name when they initially type it in to save the account to create their profile.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I know this is a forward feature or feature that's up and coming, but our AI app builder that we are going to be releasing as one of our upcoming features. We talked about the other day about during your initial account sign up process, instead of just taking you straight into your buildable account with no apps there, we're probably going to add a step in the process that after you sign up for your account and you go to log in the first time, it appears asking you to, do you want to create an app from scratch? Do you want to use our AI builder to create it, or you just want to go to your workspace home? So it's going to take you through the process there of actually building your first app if you choose that path in the journey there. So that way, when you really come into your buildable account for the first time, you've got that first app already created there and sitting there for you. So that's another thing that we discussed this week. So Matthew, I don't know if you can actually stop sharing if you want for a minute. Thank you for showing that off though. That's awesome. My question for you would be, I wanted to do this as a little bit different of an office hours, not super polished or anything, but just for any builders out there that are watching these videos, kind of give you a little peek behind the curtain with the programming team of what they've been working on and what they're driving towards. Matthew, I'm not trying to put you on the spot here, and I hate doing this when it comes to tech, but like, when do you envision that the new sign up and sign in process could potentially be implemented for users?
It does put me on the spot a little bit, but that's okay.
Yeah.
So it's a bit of a foundational kind of change, right? So the current way it works versus the updated way are entirely different in the sense that the methods that we used before and now are completely different. So it's like a project-wide change. So it does add a little bit of time in order to get this across the finish line. I would say optimistically, 30 days is probably an optimistic idea of when we would get it to new users. Yeah, but I would say realistically, if you wanted a more conservative estimate, probably 45, 60 days would be a good bet.
Okay.
make sure it's stable.
And that's definitely one of these things that we wanted to focus on. I mean, I know it's not necessarily with the core features of the product, but we want to make sure that the sign up and sign in process is super simple for people. We actually had one of our builders reach out last week that was having a few little issues signing in, and we reached out and helped her get signed in, and it kind of allowed us to see some of the issues that the new process is going to resolve. Um, the I guess I would add, kind of throughout there also, Matthew, and then I have one other thing that I'll cover after this, but uh, what are some of the peek behind the curtain? Are there some other discussions that you and Rob and the programming team have been kind of discussing of upcoming items for or fixes for the product?
Yeah, there's a lot of fixes that are in the works, but currently what I've been working on is, as we just saw, just the auth stuff. But in terms of like new things that are coming up, Robert's been working a lot on the AI in the back end, which we can eventually hook up to something like a chatbot, um, or like an AI builder, like a tutorial that you can use as soon as you sign up. Um, but just I think a lot of bug fixes to get the product stable, um, and then the AI certainly will come.
Awesome, awesome. And then, just something to throw out there. Uh, Probably starting in July, we are going to be modifying office hours to be twice a month. We'll be, posting that on socials of what the change is. We're doing this for a reason. The weeks that we will not be holding office hours, we are actually going to be doing group trainings for our clients, like on site at different locations. Probably start where we are residing right now in Virginia, but it could, grow to be in other locations eventually. We really want, our whole goal is, yes, we want to build a successful product, but at the same time, we want to help small business owners and companies out there streamline their operations with Buildable, and we are more than willing to jump in there and help you learn how, but outside of these normal office hours, how to develop in Buildable and get an account up and running. Um, there's We're going to be making some kind of tweaks to the website, and one of the things that we are going to be adding onto the website is a page for some information on onboarding. And what I mean by that is if you sign up for a Buildable account and you want some help getting started and up and running, we are going to be offering a free onboarding session where you can sign up with us and we will schedule a time to meet with you, jump on a call, walk you through the process of getting set up in Buildable, give you some tips and tricks, and then hopefully with that knowledge, you can take that knowledge to start building the application for your businesses. The goal with Buildable is to simplify it so much to where any business owner with no matter what their tech skill level is can jump in and have an app up and running within a day to run their business. And that's where a lot of the AI, that's going to be some of the upcoming features are going to help with that. Generally in the past, if you wanted to build something in a product, you had to go and learn that product. Well, obviously we want you to learn Buildable, but at the same time, we want AI to augment that so it speeds up your learning and your development shots can happen almost immediately in the product. My goal is to have a customer that's never or a builder that's never seen Buildable sign up for an account and be able to build an app in that day without having to learn the product inside and out. So those are a lot of features up and coming. The one direction that I've given for our programming team recently is, hey, I know we want to do a lot of these features, but the first thing that we have to do is let's make sure there's not a single bug, that we're dealing with within the product. So the focus has largely been on sign-in process and fixing, any bugs that we see out there, which, we've fixed a lot over even the last couple of weeks. I mean, there's been a lot of updates and fixes for those. So that's kind of the gist of our office hours today. Next week we'll probably have another demo session where we are going over building an application in Buildable. But I wanted to bring Matthew on, and thank you for joining today, Matthew, and showing that off a little bit. And bring him on and give the peek behind the curtain. And then next week we'll be doing some more demos, and we'll probably be hosting our first on-site session with some business owners in the next couple weeks. So goal for that, to talk to my team, but we may even record those sessions and have those out on our YouTube channel as well. So If you need any support or if you have any questions, we have feedback at buildable.com. We also have support at buildable.com. Shoot us an email. We love the feedback. And as crazy as it sounds, I actually love negative feedback better because that helps us improve so much more. Obviously, we want to know if Buildable is helping you and the good parts of it, but please send, any feedback, any issues that you ever run into, and that helps us drive this product forward. And we're in there playing around with it, testing on a daily basis, but we may not do something that another builder is doing in there, and you may see something different from what we've seen. So please, send over any feedback that you have, and keep joining our office hours. Have a good one.